Costco sells products for less than almost everyone else. Walk through one of its warehouses and you'll find giant bags of rice, televisions, jewelry, tires, sometimes even gold bars. And somehow, the prices often beat stores that don't have to maintain warehouses the size of airplane hangars. So here's the question. How does Costco charge so little while building a billion-dollar business? Because at first glance, it shouldn't work. Most retailers make their money by adding healthy profit margins to the products they sell. Costco does almost the opposite. Its margins are famously tiny. It pays employees well. It operates enormous warehouses. And yet, year after year, it keeps growing, which suggests something important. The real reason Costco succeeds probably isn't the one most shoppers notice. And the first clue appears before you've even picked up a shopping cart. Long before Costco became a household name, it borrowed an idea from an earlier warehouse retailer called Price Club. The warehouse wasn't the innovation, the business model was, because before you could compare a single price, before you looked at a television, before you reached the famous food court, Costco asked you to do something almost no retailer would dare ask. Pay, not for groceries, not for electronics, not for a hot dog, just for permission to walk through the front door. That sounds backwards. Most businesses spend millions trying to remove every obstacle between you and a purchase. Costco deliberately added one. So why did millions of people happily say yes? Because that membership fee quietly changed the economics of the entire business. Instead of depending almost entirely on product markups, Costco suddenly had something incredibly valuable: predictable recurring cash flow. In business and investing, predictable cash flow changes everything. It gives companies room to make decisions that competitors simply can't. But that still doesn't explain the biggest mystery. If membership fees are such a powerful advantage, why hasn't every retailer copied Costco? The answer starts with something most shoppers barely notice: choice. Walk into a typical supermarket looking for peanut butter, and you might find 20 different options: crunchy, creamy, organic, natural, store brands, national brands. The shelf keeps going. Now walk into Costco. Suddenly, those choices almost disappear. At first, that feels like a disadvantage. Shouldn't more choice be better? Actually, that's exactly what Costco wants you to think. Because every extra product on a shelf creates another negotiation, another supplier, another shipment, another inventory decision, another cost. Costco quietly removes most of that complexity before you ever arrive. Instead of buying a little from hundreds of brands, it buys enormous amounts from just a handful. And that changes everything. Because when Costco sits down with a supplier, it isn't negotiating for one neighborhood store. It's negotiating for warehouses around the world. That's a level of buying power very few companies can match. Suddenly, those lower prices make a lot more sense. But here's what's strange. If fewer choices and massive buying power explain the low prices, why does shopping at Costco feel so different from every other retailer? Think about your last trip. You probably went in for something simple: paper towels, chicken, coffee. Then somehow, there's a blanket in your cart, a giant box of snacks, maybe a hoodie you never planned to buy. That isn't because shoppers suddenly lose self-control the moment they walk through the entrance. It's because Costco isn't designed like a traditional grocery store. Most retailers want you to find exactly what you're looking for. Costco wants you to discover something you weren't looking for. Products move. Seasonal items appear without warning. Popular products disappear for weeks. Entire aisles feel different from your last visit. That uncertainty isn't random. It creates what retailers call a treasure hunt. If you don't buy something today, there's a chance it won't be there tomorrow. And suddenly, "I'll think about it," quietly becomes, "I should probably grab it now." It's a small psychological shift, but repeated across millions of shoppers, it becomes incredibly powerful. Except, even that isn't the biggest reason Costco keeps winning, because none of these strategies would matter if customers didn't actually trust the company. And that's where the real advantage begins. But there's still one question left. If Costco is quietly influencing so many purchasing decisions, why don't customers feel manipulated? After all, the giant shopping carts encourage you to buy more. The constantly changing seasonal displays tempt you to grab something before it's gone. The limited selection quietly influences which brands end up in your cart. On paper, that sounds like a system designed to make people spend more money. So why do millions of customers willingly pay to come back every single year? The answer isn't hidden in the warehouse. It's hidden in something much harder to build: trust. Think about Costco's famous hot dog. For decades, it's remained one of the cheapest meals you can buy almost anywhere. That's not because Costco discovered a magical way to make hot dogs cheaper than everyone else. It didn't. The hot dog isn't really about lunch, it's a signal that says, we're willing to protect the value you expect, even when doing so isn't the most profitable decision today. That sounds like a tiny detail. It isn't, because businesses aren't judged only by what they sell. They're judged by the promises customers believe they'll keep. Once you notice that, you begin seeing the same pattern everywhere. Kirkland products that consistently compete with national brands. A return policy that's surprisingly straightforward. Employees who are often paid better than much of the retail industry. Simple warehouses that avoid unnecessary costs instead of trying to impress shoppers with expensive decor. At first, these all seem like separate business decisions. They're not. They're all reinforcing the exact same promise. Your membership is worth keeping. And that's where something interesting begins to happen. Think back to your very first Costco visit. You probably looked at everything a little more carefully. You compared prices. You wondered if buying a membership had actually been worth it. Maybe you left feeling pretty good about the savings. Then you came back, and something changed. You bought paper towels. The price seemed fair. The batteries lasted. The Kirkland product turned out to be just as good as the brand name. Maybe you returned something months later without an argument. Then another trip went well. Then another. Slowly, without even realizing it. You stopped evaluating Costco one product at a time. You started trusting the system itself. That's an enormous shift. Because once people trust the system, they spend less mental energy questioning every individual decision. And that changes how they shop. Now here's something even more interesting. Imagine another retailer copied Costco tomorrow. They build giant warehouses. They sell products in bulk. They reduce the number of brands. They even charge customers a membership fee. Would they instantly become the next Costco? Probably not, because copying the warehouse is easy. Copying decades of trust isn't. That's the part people rarely think about. The visible strategy can be copied. The invisible strategy has to be earned, which brings us back to the original question. How did Costco build a billion-dollar business while selling products so cheaply? By now, you've probably realized something. That question was actually slightly wrong. Costco isn't successful despite selling products so cheaply. Those low prices are part of how the business succeeds. They're not the sacrifice, they're the strategy. Membership fees provide predictable recurring cash flow. Limited products create enormous buying power. Low markups strengthen customer trust. Treasure hunt merchandising keeps every visit interesting. Simple warehouses reduce unnecessary costs. None of those ideas are revolutionary on their own. But together, they become something much more powerful. One system. Suddenly, everything clicks into place. The membership fee, the giant shopping carts, the limited brands, the warehouse shelves stacked on industrial pallets, the seasonal displays, the famous hot dog, the return policy, the Kirkland label. They're no longer separate facts. They're all working toward the same objective. Not maximizing the profit from today's shopping trip, maximizing the value of your membership over the next 10 years. That's a completely different incentive. And once you understand the incentive, the business starts making perfect sense. The next time you walk into Costco, don't just compare prices. Look at the membership desk near the entrance. Notice how few brands fill each aisle. Watch where the seasonal products have moved. Pay attention to the oversized shopping carts. Even notice the warehouse itself, the concrete floors, the industrial shelving, the products still sitting on shipping pallets. None of those decisions are accidents. They're all parts of the same business strategy. A strategy designed to quietly reinforce one feeling every single time you visit. My membership paid for itself again. And that's the hidden strategy behind Costco's success. Not one brilliant trick, not one secret product, not one magical pricing formula. A system where almost every decision points toward the same goal. Make coming back feel obvious. Because once you start seeing that system, Costco stops looking like a warehouse full of inexpensive products and starts looking like one of the most carefully engineered businesses in the world.